Right, let's crack into it then. So let's talk about leverage because it's leverage that's going to help you create real wealth. If you look at any of the wealthiest people out there, they've all been able to leverage themselves in certain ways from their time, their skills, their resources, their knowledge, and then ultimately their money, which is how they've been able to create so much wealth in the first place. So, because this course is on finance, let's talk about leveraging your money. Now, why would you utilize other people's money? Well, first off, it's going to give you a better cash on cash return. Now, cash on cash return is just another name for a return on investment. That is how much money you make compared to how much money you've put in. Now, obviously, the more money you get back and the less money you put in, the better it is. So, utilizing other people's money is a way to do that. Now, you've got what we'd call a safe cash on cash return, and that's generally money in the bank. Obviously, the bank's going to give you a interest rate for storing your money with them, and that's fairly safe. I mean, the banks generally don't get hurt too financially. So if you're doing any property deal, make sure that the return on investment you are getting for putting your money into that deal is going to be more than if you simply put your money into a bank. Now, secondly, it allows you to control a much greater asset base with very little down. And this allows you to create a lot more wealth simply through creating profit utilizing other people's money. Let's take a look at how that would work. Now, let's talk about basic shares, okay? Compared with property. Now, if you had $20,000 and you were trying to choose which one you wanted, well, if you bought $20,000 worth of shares, then that would be worth $20,000. However, with property, because you can leverage using other people's money, let's assume a LVR of 80%, that is, the bank will lend you 80% of the property's value, then your $20,000 is going to buy a $100,000 asset compared to a $20,000 asset. Now, let's say in both instances that the market increases by 10%. Well, the shares are now worth $22,000, which means you've now got $2,000 profit or a return on investment of 10%. However, with property, if the market increases 10%, you've now got a $110,000 asset. You've made $10,000 in equity because the mortgage stays exactly the same, meaning you've got profit of $10,000 and a return on investment of 50%. Now, you do need to be aware that this idea of leverage does have it magnifies both gains and losses. So in that same example, if it was to decrease by 10%, well, the new value of the property is now 90%. Again, the mortgage stays exactly the same, meaning you've lost $10,000, giving you a negative 50% return on investment. That is, you've lost half your initial capital. However, let's say things get really bad and the market decreases by 30%, and it can increase by more, which we saw in the GFC. So if the market decreases by 30% in this example, the property's value is now worth $70,000. That means you've got negative equity of $10,000. That is, the mortgage, which again has stayed the same, is $10,000 more than the value of the property, but you still owe the bank that full $80,000. You've lost $30,000, which is $20,000 of your original investment and $10,000 from the value of the mortgage, meaning you've got a return on investment of minus 150%. You haven't just lost all your money, you've lost more. Okay? So I don't say all this to scare you, I just want to tell you that in order for you to understand that being able to leverage, yes, it allows you to control a much greater asset base. However, you need to know what you're doing, because if you do it wrong, you have the potential to lose a lot more than simply what you put in. Going back to the shares again, if the shares were to drop by 10%, then you would simply lose $2,000 and you'd be able to pull out the remaining 18. So leverage, yes, it's going to help you. Just understand how it works and how it works on both sides of the scale.